Alright, everyone. Here we go. Hey, welcome. Sorry I'm 19 minutes late, but again, I had to, I was really trying to get the graphics going because I care about you guys. I want you guys to have the best viewing experience for this, thing possible. Ooh, allow. And also, not only that, uh, apparently, there could be, gift memberships are available now. So, yeah, guys, hey, today we are going to, discuss the 2019 Oscars, or 2018 Oscars, I should say, the 91st Oscars, who cares? The movies of 2018, that's where the Oscars are. And, yeah, my God, how's everyone doing today? All right, let's see. Ezra says, hey. Let's see what. Aaron says, hi, hello. What movie do you like more, Green Book or Coda? We'll discuss that here in a bit. But yeah, here we go. Can you do at some point do a retrospective of the 1991 Oscars in which Dances of Wolves won over Goodfellas? We'll have to see. Hello, Pranks and Cats. I mean, yeah, and I saw your comment earlier of "Are you coming?" It's like, look, I've been busy these past few days trying to rewatch and watch so many movies. Like literally, not even like 2 hours ago. I watched Mary Poppins Returns, and keep in mind, I have a day job, so it's like a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah, okay, this is how it's going, this is how this whole thing is going to start. Alright, this is how it's going to start. We are first going to start off, talking about, I'm going to be talking over I'm going to be talking about the nominees, the winners, and all that stuff. And I'll be getting to people's we'll have a question, stuff after I go over the nominees and all the categories and stuff. Maybe not all the categories or whatnot, but, And, like I said, since I'm wondering how I can gift memberships, because I think there's, a thing where, you can, where apparently where apparently I can send 10 free gift memberships, although I'm not exactly sure how that works. Maybe it's not rolled out yet. Yeah, maybe it's not rolled out yet for me or whatever. But yeah, and like I said, we'll take questions and stuff after I go through the categories and whatnot. And obviously, because those are the extra special messages. Super chats will be given priority, and I'll try to get as much everyone's questions and stuff at least after I do the categories after this. All right. So let's talk about this Best Picture race. Now, the movies down here are going to be in alphabetical order, and there's more of a, sort of a what would have been order to the side. Now, this was one of maybe the most heated, moments in recent Oscar history, where Green Book beat Roma for Best Picture. All right, I'm hoping I got all of these things right, because, yeah, and so Green Book versus Roma, this was interesting because there were a bunch of frontrunners before we kind of settled on Roma at first. We kind of, I feel like, because I remember people were initially thinking, what was it, it was going back and forth between A Star Is Born and First Man. I think initially they were the frontrunner was said to be First Man because, Damien Chazelle had just won Best Director for La La Land. And it's like, but this Damien Chazelle is going to be tackling the life of what was it? Like basically tackling the life of Neil Armstrong. All right, like yeah, taking over Neil Armstrong's life and stuff. But ultimately, that film like got good reviews, but not great reviews. And so then we kind of started going, okay, is it going to be A Star Is Born? But again, but I think at some point I don't know when, but people really started selling on Roma because everything seemed to kind of be going in Roma's direction. You know, it's Alfonso Cuarón. He's one of the best directors working today. He was pretty much guaranteed to win the Oscar by the time this film premiered. For at least for best director. But all of a sudden, when like a big shock, Green Book wins Best Picture. But was it as big of a shock as we may have thought? Because, and keep in mind, this was kind of before I was doing like heavy Oscar prediction stuff, so like I can only look back in hindsight. But in hindsight, it looked like Green Book was going to legitimately be a threat. Because it did win PGA. And that is a preferential ballot, and it does work, it was kind of crazy. I was like, wait, what, Green Book won PGA? Because it did win the Comedy Musical Golden Globe. But Roma seemed to be doing pretty well at Critics' Choice and BAFTA. Now, Green Book obviously has gotten a lot of controversy ever since its win. People claiming it's too safe for a Best Picture winner. But I've rewatching both these movies. Look, hot take. I think they're both great. And honestly, none of them would have been my pick for Best Picture. But I think they're both great in their own different ways. I mean, obviously, Roma is a true painting of Alfonso Cuarón's life as a child, or really more so about the life of his the maid of the house, I'm assuming. But I mean, Green Book still has, I feel like a really good really good dialogue. Mahershala Ali as in the supporting role absolutely kills it. And it's not it's a really tough thing. Like again, neither of them would. In fact, if I'm going to be honest, 2018 was not really the best year for movies. But it wasn't really a great year. Like I don't think the funny thing is I don't dislike any of these movies. I really like them all, but I don't consider them. I don't consider any of them to be up there with some of the best films of the decade. And that's another thing. Like people were going, oh, everyone's going to remember Roma and no one's going to remember Green Book. I don't really hear many people talking about Roma. When people are talking about some of the best films of the decade, no one really brings up Roma. And it's obviously neither of them bring up Green Book. Honestly, really none of these movies get brought up in the best of the decade discussions. So it's it's really I think really what Green Book was is it was the tipping point of what was already a pretty for a lot of people what was a very underwhelming year in terms of movies. And honestly, I think no matter what won Best Picture, there would have been some kind of backlash. Because none of these really have that kind of none of these movies again are none of them I would consider some of the best of the decade. And I have never heard anybody talk about them in such a way. And in fact, if anything, I would say the most influential film of 2018 was probably Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, that literally changed the game for animation. So, so it's not really, it's really tough. Then but outside of Green Book and Roma, what could have maybe won? Well, I think maybe at number 3 could have been Black Klansman. I mean, it had everything to go. It had adapted screenplay. It won adapted screenplay. It was nominated for director and got nominated for editing. I think and the funny thing is Black Klansman actually got nominated everywhere, unlike Green Book and Roma. Unlike Green Book and Roma, it still got SAG Ensemble. And yeah, and if I'm going to be honest, I think honestly among this lineup, Black Klansman would have been my pick for Best Picture. I mean, I recently watched it the other day, and it's one of those movies that kind of starts off slow. You don't really, you're like, oh, okay, like where's this going? But then the more it ramps up, and the more it ramps up, the more you start realizing that it's literally a mirror for our modern world, to the point where like the last like minute or two of the film is so haunting and so scary. I actually kind of teared up because I was like, because keep in mind, this is like the first time I've watched the movie like since 2018. Like I think like, and definitely the first time I've watched it, post George Floyd's murder, and rewatching it in that context, it's like we've not learned a thing. We have not learned a thing since this movie came out, and if anything, things have maybe gotten worse. And it's scary. It's so scary. And I really gotta commend Black Klansman for being such a, like, really, such a defiance against racism. Like, or even, in a sense, a defiance against Trump. And it's like, yeah, is the movie subtle? No. But this movie came out at a time where you could not be subtle. Like the message being spread by the former president, or at least the president at the time, was a danger. His words were dangerous, and there was no room to be subtle at that point. You had to the movie had to scream its message. And I feel like it was very effective in that. I mean, God, I'm still shaking right now. Like that's how much Black Klansman affected me. It was, it was just an excellent, excellent film. I loved Black Klansman. I think it probably could have won Best Picture, again, because it did win Adapted Screenplay, so it already met one of the requirements, basically. The Favorite, maybe, because it did, do pretty well at BAFTA. It won, like, again, we'll get into more of the categories later on, but it's like, it's interesting that it didn't really, that it didn't even win Comedy Musical at the Golden Globes. But again, if Green Book wasn't in the conversation, it probably would have won. And it could have maybe won Original Screenplay, but for Green Book to win Best Picture, it would need to win Original Screenplay, so there's that. A Star is Born, once again, got everything it needed. It got BAFTA, Golden Globe, Drama, Critics' Choice, PGA, SAG. And also, I should say this about The Favorite. I like The Favorite. I quite like it. I don't really know, like, how do I describe it? It's a very strange film. Not in a way where it's like, ooh, wow, this is weird, but it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to glean out of that film at times. And I think maybe that was probably what held back The Favorite from maybe winning Best Picture. I'm kind of wondering if it was going to be The Favorite or if it was going to be A Star is Born that won. Because A Star is Born, I feel like, is a lot more digestible, and I thought A Star is Born was pretty great. So, I don't know. It's interesting that A Star is Born got Best Picture, because, like, this is, like, a remake on top of a remake, and so on and so forth. Like, this movie got a lot. Alright, it got a lot of buzz, and yet it only won one Oscar, and that was Original Song. How crazy is that? I'm putting Black Panther, okay, do I really think it would have won Best Picture over Vice? Probably not. It was, but I do think it was like 6th place to be nominated, because like at first I wasn't really believing the hype for Black Panther, like, and for it to be, for it to win, for it to, how do I describe it? What was I about to say? Like, obviously, considering Vice had Original Screenplay, it was easily higher in to win Best Picture than Black Panther, but with Black Panther, when the buzz started out for Black Panther, I was like, I don't think this movie's really getting nominated, is it? Now, granted, at the time, I liked, but I didn't love Black Panther. Admittedly, Black Panther is one of those movies I feel like really does age well over time. Like, a lot of the story itself is probably one of Marvel's best, and I'm someone who is a Marvel fan. Like, honestly, if the visual effects in Black Panther were just, like, good, like, if the Black Panther visual effects weren't awful, then I feel like this would be among the best Marvel movies. But it's so weird. Like, it's weird that Black Panther, like excelled on every level for a Marvel film, and yet the one thing it screwed up on was the actual superhero stuff. It's just bizarre to me. And we'll talk about the visual effects later on, because, oh my god, like, bodies gave Black Panther visual effects, and they are dead to me for that. But yeah, like, once it started really ramping up, it was like, oh wait, no, people are really taking Black Panther seriously for Best Picture. It was the first like black superhero movie that Hollywood took seriously, because they actually gave it a budget, like $200 million. Like for movies, like superhero movies with black people as the leads, they were not given that kind of money to bring that film to life. Like, the budgets were usually small, and the talent behind the camera was usually, like, complete ass. Like, But here we are with Ryan Coogler, and he delivered something with Black Panther that was so unique to superhero films. Like, we actually got to see, like proper black representation in a superhero film in a way that was like not only very accessible to modern audiences, but was also pushing the boundaries of, superhero stories as well. Again, if it just had stronger visual effects, like, not even like, it didn't even have to have like Oscar winning worthy visual effects. If they were just like good, like, it would, like, then this movie would be like a full 5 out of 5 for me. So yeah, but basically Black Panther at the end of the day became like unstoppable for the Best Picture nomination, and it even won SAG Ensemble, which is really which is like a really big shock, considering like none of the actors ended up getting nominated, even though I think Michael B. Jordan probably should have been nominated. But then you have Vice. Admittedly, I was, when the reviews started coming out for Vice, I was like, oh, wait, no, this is not going to get nominated for Best Picture, is it? But ultimately, the award shows kept going. It's like, everyone's nominating Vice, and it's getting a lot of big, above-the-line nominations. So again, at the end of the day, it kind of did become, it kind of became obvious that Vice was happening. And then Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, again, I don't think this was the least likely film to win Best Picture, because I think ultimately Black Panther may have been that, because again, you need screenplay or director to win Best Picture. Both Bohemian Rhapsody and Black Panther did not have that, but at least Bohemian Rhapsody had a lead actor nomination and ultimately a win. But ultimately, it became, still, I think Bohemian Rhapsody, in terms of nominations, was lower than Black Panther, but that's not to say it wasn't strong, because again, looking back in hindsight, it was kind of obvious that this was going to happen, because Bohemian Rhapsody literally won the Golden Globe for Best Picture Drama, and like, that's like so major. Like, no one was expecting Bohemian Rhapsody to win drama at the Golden Globes. Like, you're already practically locked in for a nomination if you get nominated for Best Picture Drama at the Globes. It's another thing to win. I don't know if there's ever been a film that won Best Picture Drama at the Globes that didn't get nominated for Best Picture. I still don't think Bohemian Rhapsody was going to win Best Picture, because, again, it did not have screenplay or director. Like, you kind of do need, like, hell, not even that, it didn't get nominated. Like, I think you'd have to go back decades and decades and decades to find a movie that won Best Picture without even being nominated for Best Picture for Best Director or Screenplay. Like, it's happened maybe a few rare times in terms of, like, who won Best Picture without, even though they were, because, like Chicago and Gladiator both won Best Picture without director or screenplay wins, but they were at least still nominated in some of those categories. Still, I just don't think Bohemian Rhapsody would have won Best Picture. Like, I think what mainly attracted people to the film was its text. Like everything from the text was like pretty spectacular. And look, I'm not gonna lie, I really like Bohemian Rhapsody. Would I nominate it for Best Picture? Probably not, but there's some stuff in there that I feel like is Oscar worthy. And also, I should also say with Vice, I thought Vice was great. I love Vice. My God, and I can't believe and keep in mind, a lot of the stuff that happened with Vice, which I should also mention, was a movie, a sort of a biopic about Dick Cheney, the former vice president of the United States during the Bush administration. Like, like a lot of the stuff that happened in real life happened, did happen during my life, but I don't remember any of this happening because I was a little kid who didn't know anything about politics. So when I saw some of the stuff that was going on with Vice, I was like, wait, huh? I was like, it was weird. But there were 8 nominees for Best Picture. If there were 10, what would the other 2 be? Well, I propose that the other 2 would have been If Beale Street Could Talk and Cold War. Now, I've seen some people saying, what about Mary Poppins Returns? The fact that Mary Poppins did not get PGA is really telling. Actually, wait. Let me look at this. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, did I forget something? Wait. PGA. Oh, wait, wasn't A Quiet Place nominated at PGA? I forgot to put in A Quiet Place. The fact that Mary Poppins did not get PGA, I feel like is very telling that it was not, it was not, gonna be nominated for Best Picture. Because, I feel like, because again, it was doing pretty well initially with Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. If it really wanted to pose a threat, it would have done it at PGA. And they didn't even do that, and yet instead they went for Crazy Rich Asians, which I don't think Crazy Rich Asians would have been nominated for Best Picture either. And First Man was, again, the thing is, First Man only got in at Critics' Choice, and that's kind of weird. And don't worry, we will be talking about a lot of the acting categories and the tech categories, all that stuff. But here's the thing about why I'm thinking If Beale Street Could Talk and Roma. No, and Cold War. My reasoning. Now, If Beale Street Could Talk, I really like that film. All right, I think it's really good. It's nowhere near as strong as Moonlight, and I think maybe it's because it's a little bit more of an ambiguous kind of film. It doesn't really. Yeah, I feel like it would have been kind of how do I describe it? It was. It was a little bit more vague in its story, or not really something as big and impactful as Moonlight, which probably is why it was kept out of Best Picture. But if there were 10, I still think it would have gotten in because it did get that Golden Globe drama nomination. And the reason why I think Cold War would have gotten in was because not only did it get nominated for director, which is also pretty strong, but at the BAFTAs, it got director and original screenplay. Original screenplay at the BAFTAs. That's the same. Obviously, what I'm about to say was the adapted one, but it's for example, we've seen other movies with screenplay director combos at BAFTA, at least in the expanded Best Picture era, that got nominated. Or at least just recently, the recent years where they locked to 10 nominees. Drive My Car, that got director and screenplay at the BAFTAs. And keep in mind, screenplay was not juried, and that got into Best Picture at the Oscars. All Quiet on the Western Front, director, screenplay at the BAFTAs. It got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. And both Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest got nominated for director and screenplay at BAFTA, and at the Oscars that repeated. So, I think if it was a locked-in 10 nominees, Cold War would have been that 10th slot. Just barely. And that would have made everyone go, whoa, wait. Or, we're actually taking this movie seriously? Wait, what? And keep in mind, this was also before director was juried at BAFTA. So, I think Cold War could have... Because, again, what are the other options? First Man, I feel was just kind of dying as it went on, whereas Cold War was was just kind of shooting up. And Mary Poppins Returns and Crazy Rich Asians, I don't think they were, and A Quiet Place, I don't think they would have been viable options. So I do think if there were 10 nominees, the last 2 slots would have been If Beale Street Could Talk and Cold War. Now let's get to Best Director. Alright? Alfonso Cuarón, he sweeps. It's not even close. even at the Oscars where they didn't give Roma Best Picture, you know, they still gave Alfonso Cuarón his second Oscar. And honestly, it's deserved. He did a phenomenal job directing Roma. And weirdly enough, such a large scale film also in a sense. I think maybe if there was a number 2, like again, we're looking back miles. So even though I'm saying Spike Lee's number 2, let's be real here. He would number 2 is like down in the core of the earth. But again, if Spike Lee truly was number 3 to win Best Picture, I think maybe Spike Lee could have been number 2 for director. Because again, Peter Farrelly wasn't nominated, and even that wasn't really a director kind of film. Whereas Black Klansman was pretty showy in its direction, to a sense. Paweł Pawlikowski for Cold War, Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite, and Adam McKay for Vice. I'm not gonna lie, maybe Yorgos Lanthimos would have won over Paweł Pawlikowski. Again, keep in mind, I literally just did all this like an hour ago. So, yeah. But the big snub, however, with Paweł Pawlikowski in there, Bradley Cooper got in, looks like everywhere. He got nominated everywhere, and Bradley Cooper still missed, was insane. And what's even crazier is at the Directors Guild, he was nominated for Best Director, and he was also nominated for Best First Time Director, or Debut Director, but he didn't win Debut Director. They gave it to Bo Burnham for 8th Grade. I'm just like, what? Like, why? Like, why would you nominate Bradley Cooper for Best Director at the DGA, and yet you don't even think he gave yet you don't even think he was the best first-time director at the DGA? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, literally makes no sense. Now, would I nominate Bradley Cooper? It's debatable. I don't know, because I actually probably would consider the Spider-Verse directors. Because I feel like they just changed the game for animation. And also I should say this about some of the other films I didn't mention. Cold War, hot take. I watched it this morning before I went to work. Oh my god, what bad pacing. I was like, nope, not liking this. Like, it's really, really, really boring. And it's not that I don't like slow-paced movies. I love Roma. But, my god, Cold War was monotonous. I thought, in my opinion, was monotonously boring. Like, if you guys like it, that's great. All power to you. It's just, I could barely get through Cold War. So, really, that's my hot take. But yeah, then Peter Farrelly for Green Book was looking like a maybe. Peter Farrelly for Green Book, like, he maybe could have gotten in, but again, it's weird that he didn't get like, the fact that the DGA actually went, like, 3 out of 5 is not, like, that doesn't usually happen. And it's, like, so, like, I'm not, like, yeah, so yeah. And Damien Chazelle for First Man, he only got it in for Critics' Choice. If the movie wasn't even really going to be in Best Picture, Damien Chazelle was not going to get it in for Best Director. And honestly, I can't really think of anyone else who was who was kind of close. Like, not really. I can't really think of anyone who was close. But, yeah. Lead actress. My god, what chaos. Because Olivia Colman beats Glenn Close. Oh my god. When this happened, I was like, oh, what? Because, like, Glenn Close was going to win this. Like, Glenn Close was going to win Best Actress. Like, she won. Like, because, like, everyone was saying, yes, it's time to give Glenn Close her Oscar for The Wife. And I saw The Wife yesterday. She's phenomenal in the movie. And, because, like, literally looked like she was going to win. She won the Golden Globe, she won Critics' Choice, and she won SAG. However, she lost the BAFTA at the last second, and then Olivia Colman ended up winning. And the only other award that she had was Golden Globe Comedy Musical, which of course she was going to win that. No one else was competing. Like what? Who else was like what? Was Emily Blunt going to beat Olivia Colman? Like what? And it's kind of hard for me to choose between Olivia Colman and Glenn Close because on one hand they're both giving incredible performances. Although I would very much like not. I'm really wondering if like Olivia Colman was even the lead of that movie, because it's strange that she won lead actress for that. Because like if anyone was a lead, I would assume maybe it was like Emma Stone or something. Like she seemed more of like a lead than Olivia Colman. But again, God, like Glenn Close still Oscarless. But again, she was really good in The Wife. And I should also say this. Jonathan Pryce, I think maybe should have been nominated for Best Lead Actor for The Wife. Because Jonathan Pryce, my God, I thought he was fantastic in. And what's crazy about Olivia Colman's win is that at the Critics' Choice, Glenn Close won Best Actress in a tie, but it wasn't even with Olivia Colman. It was for Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born. So it's like, what? Which also, like, how do you get a tie at an organization where there's like so many members? Like, I don't get how there was a tie for that. But yeah, Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born. Obviously, she was number 3, but she was fantastic in A Star Is Born. Like, a lot of people were wondering, like, is Lady Gaga really going to give like a because you know she wasn't really known for her acting, but good God, Lady Gaga crushed it in A Star Is Born. Like she was fantastic. Then there was also Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me, who actually got nominated everywhere, which is pretty amazing. And I saw I saw Can You Ever Forgive Me last night. Great movie. She was like probably her best performance in the of her career. And I've always said this, like Melissa McCarthy. Whenever people complain about Melissa McCarthy, like I've always Melissa McCarthy is a great actress. Like she's sometimes not given the best material, but like when you give her the right role, she can kill it. And she absolutely crushed it in Can You Ever Forgive Me. And then that last spot, Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, who only got in at Critics' Choice. Again, pretty surprising. Especially considering Emily Blunt was supposedly stronger in the category, was supposedly stronger, because she got the Golden Globe Comedy Musical nomination, Critics' Choice, and SAG. But at the same time, the SAG Awards don't really like international performances all that much. Like, they did give the win to Parasite the next year, but they didn't nominate anybody in Parasite. So, like, although I gotta say, this is a really good lineup for Best Actress. Like, depending on whether I think, Olivia Colman was a lead in The Favorite or not, I mean, if we're just going by just the performances, fantastic lineup. And I did really like Emily Blunt in Mary Poppins Returns. I don't get why she was really being really considered for the nomination for Best Lead Actress. I mean, she's good, but she's not really she kind of has I don't know how to describe it. She's not really the most it's not the most emotionally challenging performance. Like, she's singing and dancing and stuff, but it's her character is kind of one note for the most part. You could have also maybe seen Elsie Fisher nominated for 8th Grade. And I'm not going to go through all of these. But yeah, Elsie Fisher, fantastic in 8th Grade. I didn't really like 8th Grade all that much because I feel again, it truly is honest about how 8th Grade is, but almost to a fault, to where it ended up being kind of boring. And it's now granted, I've not seen it since 2018, but again, I don't know if I feel like that film would still pretty much be how I remembered it. It's all right, it's like 8th Grade, but 8th Grade was also a pretty boring time in my life. But again, just because I don't like 8th Grade all that much, that doesn't mean I don't think Elsie Fisher wasn't great in it. I feel like, she should have been at least nominated. But then at the same time, you also have Toni Collette in Hereditary, who I think should have won. Like, I just remembered that. I was like, oh man, great lineup, perfect lineup. But I was like, wait, but Toni Collette, like, even though she got in at Critics' Choice, I never bought that she would get a nomination, because that's a horror movie, and you have to be like a Best Picture level kind of horror film to get that kind of nomination. And I knew they would never do it. They would never do it. Even though they should have, because Hereditary was phenomenal, and honestly better than most of the Best Picture nominees. And Toni Collette should have won Best Lead Actress. Like, my God, she should have won. Man, it's tough. Who would, like, if I were to bump anyone out, who would I bump out? I guess maybe I'd bump out Melissa McCarthy. And again, like, there's kind of a debate as to whether or not I think Olivia Colman, like, the fact that I think Olivia Colman should have maybe been considered for supporting actress, because again, like, she has so little screen time in the film. I maybe would have, maybe I'd take out Olivia Colman, put her in supporting, because again, I just doubt I don't even think she's all that much of a lead performance, and maybe swap Olivia Colman and Melissa McCarthy out in favor of Elsie Fisher and Toni Collette, although again, Melissa McCarthy was fantastic in Can You Ever Forgive Me? She was fantastic in that film. No one, I don't think anyone else was really good. I mean, maybe Viola Davis, because she did get in that BAFTA, and the fact that Viola Davis got in that BAFTA, and that was before the jury, I think that does mean something. Like, yeah, but yeah, lead actor. Rami Malek wins Best Lead Actor for Bohemian Rhapsody. And once again, what was initially kind of starting off as like kind of a rocky, race. Because like Rami Malek ended up winning the Oscar because he got the BAFTA, the Golden Globe for drama, and SAG. But Christian Bale put up a fight. Because he won the Golden Globe for comedy musical and he won Critics' Choice. And if I'm going to be, like, watching Bohemian Rhapsody, he's, like, I don't think Rami Malek is bad in the film. I don't think he gives a bad performance. I think he gives a very good performance, but I think the reason why I would not give him the win, or maybe even the nomination, is that most of the performance that is supposed to be, like, the big driving point, he didn't even do, because he didn't sing. And I know there's some people that are like, oh, but no one can sing like Freddie Mercury. Yeah, people can sing like, there are people out there who can sing like Freddie Mercury, because guess what? That Freddie Mercury singing voice you heard in the movie was not Freddie Mercury, that was someone else. Now, granted, I don't think he should have been playing Freddie Mercury either, because, well, you look at the guy singing the part, and he was white. But, like, there's over 8 billion, basically, there are, like, millions of actors on this planet. You could have found someone who looked like Freddie Mercury and could still sing like him. But no, not Rami Malek. And I don't think Rami Malek was able to, like, how do I describe it? I don't feel like Rami Malek was able to overcome the teeth. Because, like, I was watching, like, interviews of Freddie Mercury. He did not have the kind of lisp that he has in the movie. And I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, there's so many inaccuracies with Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like, for me, like, a lot of the inaccuracies in Bohemian Rhapsody didn't really bother me. Like, for example, Freddie finding out that he has AIDS before the Live Aid concert. I don't really have, that's not really an issue for me, because that's just, like, a very little thing that doesn't really change the way about how we view Freddie Mercury. And even though this doesn't really change even though what I'm about to say doesn't really change the way we view Freddie Mercury, it's still, like, an observation in that when Rami Malek has those prosthetic teeth in, he doesn't work well with them. Like, you look at, like, Jim Carrey in The Mask, and those big teeth, he had those big teeth on. He was originally supposed to dub his voice because they were so big. But Jim Carrey is such a great actor, and you can even see this in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, where he's able to work with the costumes and the makeup that he's given and adapt to it. And I don't think Rami Malek was able to adapt to the teeth very well. And again, it's the fact that he's not doing the singing, which is like one of the most critical part of Freddie Mercury. It's like if you're doing a musical biopic and you need to cast someone as a singer, why not get someone who can sing? My pick for best lead actor would have actually been Christian Bale in Vice. Like, oh my god, you could have named a million people and I would not have guessed that was Christian Bale. Christian Bale, I feel like would have been my best lead actor winner. Bradley Cooper was also great, and honestly, all three of these guys, and also Viggo Mortensen, all four of them got in everywhere they needed to get in. And I don't think Rami Malek is a necessarily bad, winner, per se. Cause I don't think his performance is bad. It's just, I feel like it was very limited in what he was able to do, and I feel like naturally it should have just not really resulted in an Oscar win. But yeah, Christian Bale would have been my pick. Bradley Cooper, again, great. Viggo Mortensen, he was great. And then Willem Dafoe at Eternity's Gate. Again, because really, it was only going to be that fifth slot was only going to be between two people. It was either going to be Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate or John David Washington for BlacKkKlansman. Now, I will say, I've not seen At Eternity's Gate. I just did not have time. I've already postponed the stream once. I couldn't do it again. So, I wasn't able to see At Eternity's Gate. All I know is that he has that meme that which, yeah. But John David Washington, he is quite good in BlacKkKlansman, although I don't think the role is very meaty enough for him to be nominated. But again, he almost got in. He got in the Golden Globes drama and SAG. And then you also have, Ryan Gosling for First Man, who got in at Critics' Choice. But again, I think a lot of these other actors are just way down there. Ryan Gosling for First Man, I mean, maybe, but again, First Man just took a big dip and even missing some tech categories. Because again, I don't know who would have, maybe Robert Redford for The Old Man and the Gun. He did get in the Golden Globes and there was a narrative behind him. And then maybe Ethan Hawke for First Reformed, but it doesn't really seem to be an Academy thing. I mean, they did go for it in original screenplay, but no one else nominated him. So I don't know. And again, there's some other actors there, but none of them. I'm only listing some of the other ones Lucas Hedges and Lin-Manuel Miranda because they got in somewhere. But honestly, it really was just between, that fifth slot was going to be between Willem Dafoe and John David Washington. Supporting actress. Oh boy. This also was chaos because Regina King ended up winning, but it was not easy because at the BAFTAs, they snubbed her, and at SAG, they snubbed her. What? What? I'm sorry. What? How did SAG snub her? And what's even weirder is that Emily Blunt won at SAG. It's okay, just like the whole, just like the whole Bo Burnham thing at the DGA. It's if you thought Emily Blunt gave the best supporting actress performance of the year, why didn't you nominate her for the Oscar? Because SAG is made up of actors, and the actors branch at the Oscars is made up of actors. What are we doing? What? I don't understand this. And even then with Emily Blunt, I don't it was just pure category fraud because clearly no one in that movie should have been in supporting. They decided to campaign all four of the actors in supporting, and it's why? Now, granted, I think the only reason why they did it with Emily Blunt is because they knew Mary Poppins was coming, and she was in contention to be nominated for that. But still, she was not a supporting role. She was a co-lead in A Quiet Place, and it's just insane that they gave her the win, and yet they didn't even nominate her. It's what do you want? I just don't get it. Rachel Weisz for The Favorite won a BAFTA. So I don't know. Maybe I guess she's number 2 because Emily Blunt's not there, and Emma Stone for The Favorite. I guess she was probably number 3. Again, they got in everywhere. And Amy Adams for Vice also got in everywhere. And Marina de Tavira. Holy hell! Like, this was where I think that the nominations where I think Roma really prevailed, because it overperformed in categories that I did not even expect it to be nominated in. Like supporting, she didn't get in anywhere. Like, you could never have predicted that she was going to get in. No one did. That's just nuts. But the weird thing is, if Beale Street could talk. Now, one could say, well, this looked like it was a similar path that Angela Bassett did, or Sylvester Stallone, because they also won the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice. Technically with Angela Bassett, she did get nominated everywhere, but with Sylvester Stallone, he also got snubbed at SAG and BAFTA. But I think what saved Regina King was that she was a critic sweeper. Now, granted, I don't know if Sylvester Stallone was a critic sweeper. If anyone of you guys know, let me know. But she was taking practically every award for supporting actress. So it still felt like, she's going to win the Oscar one way or the other. And she was very good in the movie. I'm not exactly sure who my pick would be. Maybe she would have been my pick among these nominees. But again, it's kind of tough. Claire Foy. Oh my god, Claire Foy. How did she miss? First Man. No one cared about that movie when the time came. Look, I don't love the movie either. I liked it, but I don't love it. But it's come on. You didn't need to snub it this badly. Claire Foy could have gotten in. Yeah. And then there was also Margot Robbie for Mary Queen of Scots. Maybe she could have been in. Granted, I did not get a chance to see Mary Queen of Scots yet. Again, ran out of time. But she got the BAFTA and SAG, so it looked like she was pretty hotly in contention. Ooh. But anyways, Nicole Kidman for Boy Erased. Sure. She got in at Critics' Choice, but I don't think she was really going to get in. I'm surprised no one nominated Millicent Simmons. No one went for Millicent Simmons for A Quiet Place? I thought she was wonderful in the film. But again, it's just I think maybe the genre of A Quiet Place is what kept it from getting nominated in a bunch of other categories. Now, granted, I didn't particularly like A Quiet Place all that much, mainly because of one extremely stupid decision the parents make when there's a time skip. I'm just why would you do this in this situation? Do you not know what just happened earlier? And, well, later on in the movie, I was proven right, and it's if you didn't do that thing, then this wouldn't have happened. It's that, it's weird. That one thing kind of ruined A Quiet Place for me, but it's everything else about the movie was phenomenal. Again, from pacing, editing, or the sound, and especially the acting was fantastic. Supporting actor. Once they said Mahershala Ali was going supporting, he was guaranteed his second Oscar. And unlike Moonlight, Mahershala Ali swept. He, oh my god, this guy can't do any wrong. He was so perfect. He was so perfect in Green Book. And, even people who don't like Green Book, I feel aren't object to Mahershala Ali winning supporting actor. He was, the life and blood of that movie. Now, who do I think was maybe number 2? I guess maybe Richard E. Grant. I could maybe see that happening. I could maybe see him winning. Or maybe Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born. Although he didn't get in at BAFTA or the Golden Globes. It was going to be one of those things. Adam Driver, strangely enough, got everything he needed. BAFTA, Globe, Critics' Choice, SAG. And again, it's very strange because it's I thought he was good in the movie. And again, BlacKkKlansman is my favorite movie of 2018. supporting actor, though, like Adam Driver, I mean, he was very good in the movie, but it's like, I can think of a few people better than him. And then Sam Rockwell for Vice got in at the BAFTAs and the Globes. And look, I'm not gonna lie, I think it was really funny in the movie. I really did like him as George Bush. I thought his performance was really, really funny. So I don't hate it. And not gonna lie, he does kind of nail the role. He is kind of perfect in it. But again, one of the oh god, the biggest snub, Timothy Chalamet for Beautiful Boy. I saw this film back in 2018. He was so snubbed. He like, my god, he should have been in there, and he got nominated for everything. Like, how did he get nominated for everything, and yet he still got snubbed? Which again, I think maybe the cause was that, like, Beautiful Boy was so not in Best Picture. Like, Can You Ever Forgive Me wasn't either, but you could have made an art, like, it was at least in Screenplay. People did not really like Beautiful Boy all that much. And I think maybe that's kind of what kept Timothy Chalamet from getting in, even though I thought he deserved it. Another person I thought deserved it, though, was Michael B. Jordan for Black Panther. Oh my god, like, that, like, I don't care. That performance was unbelievable. Like that's just like that performance in Black Panther was incredible. I thought he was amazing. And then I'm putting in Hugh Grant in there for Paddington 2, but obviously he was never going to get into the Oscars, despite the fact that he got into the BAFTA the previous year. But still, like, yeah. Who would I swap out? Well, I would swap out Adam Driver, put in Michael B. Jordan, and I don't know. Either Sam Elliott or Sam Rockwell I would swap out in favor of Timothy Chalamet. Maybe Sam Rockwell? I don't know. But Richard E. Grant was pretty terrific in Can You Ever Forgive Me? I'm trying to think of who else was nominated. Who else could have been in? I'm trying to remember. Oh god, Alex Wolff from Hereditary. Like, he didn't get anything. Yeah, but yeah. Original screenplay. If Green Book was going to win Best Picture, it needed to win here, and that's what it did. It won Original Screenplay, despite the fact that both screenplay categories were so chaotic and no one knew what was going on. Because, okay, yeah, Green Book won at the Golden Globes, sure. What wins at Critics' Choice? First Reformed? A movie that's not even in Best Picture? What? Huh? It's like, because, like, here's the thing. In the expanded Best Picture era, there is, like, ever since they expanded Best Picture at the Oscars, they've never once given screenplay to, like, Best Screenplay to, like, or, like, adapted or original. They never gave a screenplay Oscar to a film that was not in Best Picture in this expanded Best Picture era. So, First Reformed winning Critics' Choice and Eighth Grade winning the Writers Guild Award, despite the fact that the writers didn't even nominate it for the Oscar. It's like, again, what are you doing? If you liked it so much that you wanted to give it the win, then why didn't you nominate it? Like, the inconsistencies are so stupid. But it's like, First Reformed and Eighth Grade were just not in Best Picture, so it's like, that wasn't going to help. And then at the BAFTAs, they gave it to The Favorite. But at the BAFTAs, they seemed to really love The Favorite. I guess maybe that's what made people think, oh yeah, Green Book isn't winning Best Picture, because if it didn't win at the Golden Globe, if it didn't win at the BAFTAs for original screenplay, then how's it going to win the Oscar? But I think ultimately it kind of just did do that. It's like, yeah, like Green Book just prevailed, and I think maybe if we had taken if people, especially me, probably should have taken a look at that Producers Guild win, we would have gone, oh wait, no, Green Book might actually win original screenplay. But yeah, honestly, the first four were very easy to figure out. Green Book, Favorite, Vice, Roma, not First Reform. Yeah, like just the first four, pretty easy. Again, pretty easy to figure out. They are very screenplay driven films. But, like, yeah, like that fifth slot, I guess it was kind of hard to figure out, because maybe you would have gone with Eighth Grade. because I don't think I think A Quiet Place being a horror movie that would have like lessened its chances, or like Cold War winning the BAFTA. I think maybe that was number 6. Actually, yeah, I think maybe Cold War was number 6, because again, if we are going with the assumption that it was number 10 in Best Picture, maybe it could have been at the Oscars. But yeah, it's just weird that 8th Grade won Writers Guild, and yet they didn't even want to nominate it for the Oscar. It's like, what are you doing? Why'd you give it the award then? And then Adapted Screenplay, just as chaotic, because again, no one knew what to do. Because if Beale Street could talk, okay, well first, like, if Beale Street could talk won Critics' Choice, but at the Oscars it didn't get nominated for Best Picture, so it can't win. Okay, well then, maybe BlacKkKlansman's going to win at the Writers Guild Awards, because it really was only, in this category, it really was only between BlacKkKlansman and A Star Is Born, because they were the only Best Picture nominees in there. But the Writers Guild Awards gave it to Can You Ever Forgive Me? Again, not a Best Picture nominee. So that didn't help anyone at all. Now, granted, it did, like, once BlacKkKlansman won the BAFTA, it became a lot more clear. It's like, oh, okay, so I guess BlacKkKlansman will just win the Oscar. And very deservedly so. Like, it was a phenomenal screenplay. But my God, the big shock nominee, and probably the moment we should have realized definitely the moment when they said absolutely not to First Man, was The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. As you can see here, nowhere. It didn't get nominated anywhere, and yet they still nominated it. And I think one of the reasons why it was a shock is because, like, no one expected it to be eligible, like, to be put into Adapted Screenplay. But I guess a couple of the short stories that were in the film made it an Adapted Screenplay because they were adapting those stories. So I guess that makes sense. Not gonna lie, didn't really like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs all that much. I love the first. I love the first one, like the first story where it's, the actual Ballad of Buster Scruggs, but like I didn't realize it was going to be an anthology, and it's like the stories just got worse and worse and worse. So it's like, why wasn't this about Buster Scruggs? Why did, like, everything about the Buster Scruggs segment was fantastic. I mean, good God, it was like a cowboy musical. Yeehaw, partner, let's do it. But then they just don't do it at the Oscars. No. God, I have a big brain fart right now. But then they just like, oops, this story's done. Let's get to another story. It's like, what? And it's like, yeah. But yeah, First Man, I guess was maybe looking like it was going. But then again, I don't know. Because the fact that First Man did not get the Writers Guild, it didn't get Writers Guild, is kind of nuts, because I think Spotlight got in at the Writers Guild, and this was from one of the writers of Spotlight, so it's like, huh? But I do agree that First Man's writing was probably its biggest weakness, because, like, again, like, Neil Armstrong was not really, like, my thoughts on First Man were that, almost everything in the movie is perfect, but, like, from like, like, the acting, the production value, like the production design, cinematography, sound editing, sound mixing, music, costume, visual effects, all that was perfect. It's just, I don't feel like they made Neil Armstrong a very interesting character in the film. And I think maybe that's what cost it, because it's like the writing was just kind of like, all right, like, it's fine, but it didn't really have any bite to it. Black Panther got nominated at Critics' Choice and Writers Guild, and the fact that it was in a Best Picture nominated film kind of maybe I would have suggested, if I saw this, I probably would have said maybe Black Panther. Like, if I had today's mindset, maybe I would have predicted Black Panther for the nomination. But then again, I don't know. It probably would have been tough between First Man and Black Panther. The previous year, The Death of Stalin and Paddington 2 got nominated, but they weren't going to be in the Oscars. Cinematography. Again, pretty insane category. Because, while granted, Roma did end up taking the Oscar and won the BAFTA in Critics' Choice, it didn't even win the ASC, the American Society of Cinematographers. They gave it to Cold War, which, what? Like, I mean, yeah, Cold War looks pretty good, but it's like, Roma is like, the cinematography is the movie. Like, they're capturing so much in like long, big takes, huge battles, or not, well, maybe not battles, but like, like riots and so much stuff going on in these shots. It's like the ASC didn't give it to Roma. And I would have said maybe, Cold War could have been number 2, but then again, I don't know. The Favorite was very kind of strange with its cinematography, so maybe it was number 2. A Star Is Born, I don't, maybe number 4. I don't really get its cinematography nomination, to be honest. But then the big shock again. Move over, First Man. We hate you here at the Oscars, but Never Look Away got nominated. And apparently, from what you could find, or at least from what I remember, you couldn't even predict Never Look Away. That's how little anyone thought that film was going to get nominated for Best Cinematography. It's like, huh? Like, that's crazy. How did that happen? Granted, I've still not seen Never Look Away. Again, I had very little time to do this, but still, yeah, like, that was crazy. Bohemian Rhapsody got into the BAFTAs, and I think maybe Bohemian Rhapsody could have, like, posed a threat at the Oscars if it had gotten into ASC, but it didn't do that. Then you have some other nominees that got in other places, like If Beale Street Could Talk and Black Panther, which I don't know if I would have nominated them. It's like, why did Critics' Choice nominate Black Panther for cinematography? It was like very, very standard kind of Marvel cinematography. Like, it's, it gets the job done, but it's like, really? Why? What I'm shocked over is that Free Solo and Hereditary did not get cinematography nominations anywhere. It's like, really? Not even Free Solo? Like, Free Solo, I think maybe could have, like, in my personal vote, would have been, like, kind of contending with Roma for the win. Because, like, the fact that they captured so many insane images, and it's in real life, and they're trying to make sure not to distract this guy and make him fall. Free Solo really should have been for cinematography. Film editing. Oh boy, here comes another hot take. Hot take time, guys. I do not mind Bohemian Rhapsody winning film editing. I do not mind its film editing win. Because, well, for one, even the Eddie Awards, which is voted on by editors, even they gave Bohemian Rhapsody best film editing in a drama. So it's like, even the editors thought, like, it had, like, the best editing of the year. But the editing was really, really showy and really cool. I actually really liked the editing of Bohemian Rhapsody. There was a lot going on there on a technical level. Vice, maybe could have won. It did win the BAFTA. The Favorite, it did win the Eddie Award for Comedy Musical over Green Book. Although I do have Black Klansman number 3, because the editing, especially in that final scene, was pretty terrifying. Like, that was some great usage. That was some great editing. But again, First Man winning the Critics' Choice Award for editing, and it gets nominated everywhere at the BAFTAs and the Eddies. And yet it doesn't get the Oscar nomination, which, granted, I will say the editing in First Man didn't really stand out to me all that much. Roma got in everywhere, and this could have been another Oscar nomination for Alfonso Cuarón, but they said, not so fast there, Fonzie. We're not giving you that many nominations. So they just, they just snubbed that. A Star Is Born maybe could have happened. Critics' Choice, Eddie Awards. But again, I feel like it was just not, up there. Like, not really that, like, all that. Like, not all that showy. And then some of the others, Crazy Rich Asians and Deadpool 2, which got in at the Eddie Awards for Comedy Musical, but they were never going to get nominated. And then Widows at the Critics' Choice, again, probably not going to happen. Production design. Now, this was an interesting race, because Black Panther won, and it won both places it was nominated at. Critics' Choice and the Art Directors Guild for Fantasy Film, but the BAFTAs didn't nominate it? Like, okay, I get it, you're not going to not nominate it for Best Film. You couldn't even nominate Black Panther for production design? Like, really? That was insane to me. So then the favorite ended up winning the BAFTA and the Art Directors Guild for period film, but again, Black Panther managed to prevail, and this was like its first Oscar. I don't know which award was called first, production design or costume design, but one of those was Black Panther's, was like Marvel's first Oscar. All right. Mary Poppins Returns, I maybe would say is number 3, because it is very showy in its production design. And I do like some of the little cartoon worlds that they have. Like, it's a lot, like, it's really cool. First Man, again, I think maybe with First Man and Roma, I don't think they would have won. I do put Mary Poppins Returns above those two because I feel like First Man and Roma are probably too normal in a sense in terms of production design. So I don't think they would have won. I think maybe with how it overperformed, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs was maybe number 6. Like, I think maybe it was probably... I do think maybe Buster Scruggs was number 6, because, again, the fact that it got in, even for, like, adapted screenplay, it's like, alright, the Oscars really loved Buster Scruggs, so they're probably... Maybe they would have gone for that in production design. Bohemian Rhapsody got in at the Art Directors Guild for period film. Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald got in at BAFTA and Art Directors Guild. So, but again, like... I think maybe it had a shot, but again, the fact that people just did not like that film at all probably held it back. And then some of the others, I don't think they would have been nominated at all. But just going in, some of these, like Crazy Rich Asians, which won the Art Directors Guild for Contemporary Film, The House with the Clock on Its Walls, Isle of Dogs, Ready Player One. Again, I don't think they would have gotten in, but it's just worth noting. Costume design. Black Panther... It won Critics' Choice and Costume Designers Guild. Mary Queen of Scots, I feel like, was number 3. It was like big royalty kind of costume designing, so I guess that makes sense. Mary Poppins Returns probably was number 4, and Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I mean, good God, again, no one was expecting that to really happen, even though it got in at BAFTA. But even then, like, Bohemian Rhapsody got snubbed, despite getting in everywhere. Like, that was crazy. And then I guess maybe number 6, number 7 would have maybe been Crazy Rich Asians, but I don't know. And then the other films, like Aquaman, all that stuff, that's not really that's just an alphabetical order. Don't really think about that too much, because like none of these other films were going to come close to getting in. But yeah. Makeup and hairstyling. Again, this is insanity. Like, yeah, this is insanity. Because, like, Vice, it won, deservedly so. And it won Critics' Choice, Makeup and Hairstylist Guild for both period and character makeup and special effects makeup. But at the BAFTAs, they gave it to the favorite, which wasn't shortlisted. Which, I mean, yeah, I get why it wasn't shortlisted, but it's like, really? Like, the BAFTAs didn't even vote for Vice? That's weird. But again, considering that it wasn't shortlisted, much less nominated, then I guess it kind of made sense that, it wasn't going to win the, it wasn't really going to hurt Vice in a sense. Because, like, what? Was Border going to win? Was Mary Queen of Scots going to win? I don't think so. Like, Vice was just so winning Best Makeup and Hairstyling. If there were 5 nominees, what would have been nominated? Well, I think maybe Black Panther. It looked like it was going to happen with Critics' Choice, and it got period character hairstyling and special effects makeup at the Makeup and Hairstylists Guild. And Bohemian Rhapsody literally got nominated everywhere. For the BAFTA, Critics' Choice, and Makeup and Hairstylists Guild for period character makeup. Suspiria maybe could have happened. That would have been nice to see, but again, they don't like horror movies. And Stan and Ollie, maybe. I mean, it's not that out of the ordinary. Maybe that could have happened. But yeah. And then also Crazy Rich Asians won the Makeup and Hairstylist Guild for contemporary hairstyling. A Star is Born won contemporary makeup in the Makeup Guild. But again, this wasn't going to happen. Like, that wasn't really going to happen. Visual effects. once again, insane to me. Also, wait a minute. I made a mistake here. I made a mistake because let's see. Let me get to this real quick. Cause oh boy, they pulled some they pulled some nasty stuff over at BAFTA and Critics' Choice when it came to the visual effects thing. Now, and I'll also tell you this other story that happened. Alright, this other kind of crazy story about the visual effects race. Alright. So, as you can see here, Black Panther won BAFTA and Critics' Choice and didn't get nominated for the Oscar. And I don't know what Critics' Choice and BAFTA were thinking, but that alone, that's I will never trust BAFTA and Critics' Choice for their judgment on visual effects ever again after that. Because, Black Panther's visual effects were so awful. In every way, they were so awful. That last fight where they're, fighting near the train, what was that? This was easily the worst part of Black Panther, and the one thing that the critics criticized about Black Panther, and yet they gave it visual effects. What are they, they're making jokes of themselves with this, because, really? Now, because, this visual effects lineup we have right here, Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Perfect nominees. Alright, I would have given Avengers Infinity War the win over First Man because I feel like it was a more technically groundbreaking film. But in terms of just pure nominations, no notes. Every single one of these is so perfect and I would not have swapped out the nominees at all. I mean, Avengers Infinity War with Thanos, that was innovative, groundbreaking, incredible. Christopher Robin, funny enough, I called both Christopher Robin and Solo: A Star Wars Story for nominations, and no one else was. And one would think that, people would go, what? What? How do I describe it? It's why would one would think, wait, if you predicted both of those, how, did you get 5 out of 5? No, because my dumbass predicted Black Panther over Ready Player One. I would have gotten 5 out of 5 if I had, because I should have looked at the Visual Effects Society Awards. I should have predicted that for the Visual Effects Society, because the Visual Effects Society Awards, Ready Player One got the second most nominations, and Black Panther got nothing. I should have taken that as a red flag for Black Panther. And let's face it, First Man, it won because it was I've always said this stat, it's a great stat, at least in terms of predicting. I'm not saying it's fair in terms of visual effects, but I'm just saying, and if you're predicting, this is a good stat to go by. Which film is most likely in Best Picture? Because without Black Panther, you got no Best Picture nominees. Of these films, which film is the most likely one to be a Best Picture nominee? It's easily First Man. The visual, the Academy, the General Academy, when the entire body is voting, most of the people voting don't know anything about visual effects. When nominations, yeah, it is done by the visual effects branch, but the General Academy votes for the winner, and they will choose which is basically their favorite movie in visual effects, the most prestige film, and that was First Man. And it did win visual effects supporting visual effects, the Visual Effects Society, but even then, an award that it was competing against Avengers Infinity War for, which was compositing, it still lost to Infinity War. So I do feel like Infinity War should have won, but I don't hate the First Man win. I don't hate it, and this is probably the last time that I've ever, fully agreed with all the nominees. I have no notes about all these nominees. Even something like Solo and Ready Player One, I'm you know what? Awesome. Also, Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin's visual effects are so good. My God. there are scenes where like Winnie the Pooh in the game like looks actually real. Like it's kind of insane. Like there's this one scene where like it's beginning to rain and you see the raindrops falling on him, but it's CG. It's all CG. Like the bear is CG. That little raindrop was CG. It's like it doesn't look CG at all. Christopher Robin had such incredible visual effects. And I'm so glad I called that. Like, that's one of my proudest moments in predicting the Oscars, is predicting not only Solo: A Star Wars Story, but also Christopher Robin for visual effects. But also, the fact that Christopher Robin and Solo: A Star Wars Story only got in at VES and nowhere else. Again, critics, choice, and BAFTA, I don't trust their judgment for visual effects. Like, they're like, the fact that they went for Black Panther of all things, shows how dumb they are. I do think maybe number 6 was Welcome to Marwin, because it did get the top prize nomination at Visual Effects Society, and I don't know, do I think Black Panther was number 7? It's tough, because they have nominated movies before that got 0 nominations, but I don't know, it is tough, but if even the shortlist in general I thought was fantastic. I would just swap out Black Panther and replace it with Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Like, I would probably do that. Mission Impossible Fallout got into Critics' Choice. It did not deserve to be on the short list. And Annihilation, like, I'm surprised did not make the top 20. I would not nominate Annihilation, because, again, it's not a very groundbreaking film in terms of visual effects. But, however, I do believe, it probably should have been in the top 20. At least over Black Panther. Like, I don't know what Black Panthers do. Like, they only put in Black Panther because it was, like, the one Marvel movie that was going to get nominated for Best Picture. And it's like, oh, well, might as well put it in the short list. Did not need to be in there. Did not need to be nominated. Glad I didn't get nominated. But, yeah. Sound editing. Man, remember the good old days when sound editing and sound mixing were 2 different categories? Good days. Those were the good days. Bohemian Rhapsody won both sound editing and sound mixing, which, as we can see right here. But here's the thing. Most people are probably not going to complain about its sound mixing win, but obviously a lot of people complain about its sound editing win. Hot take. I would probably still give First Man the win for sound editing, but let's not act like there's no sound editing in Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, a lot of the movie is literally them creating the songs from the vocals, the instruments, all that stuff. Like that's still, like, the creation of a song, like, that's still sound editing. So it's like, I don't get why people are saying, like, what, like, it's just music. It's like, yeah, music editing is sound editing. Even at the Golden Reel Awards, it won for, not only sound editing in a musical, but also sound editing for dialogue and ADR. So it's like, that's still sound editing, people. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First Man, I think, maybe was number 2. The reason why I'm saying First Man above A Quiet Place is because A Quiet Place didn't even get nominated for sound mixing, which is kind of strange. But it did win the Golden Reel Award for sound editing, for sound effects and Foley. You also had Black Panther, got in because it was in Best Picture. And it was a superhero. It was a superhero movie in Best Picture. You can't really go wrong. And Roma getting in. Roma. And looking back on Roma, like having rewatched it, yeah, I could see why it got nominated. Like, really deserving. And some other potential nominees, like you had Mission Impossible Fallout, which got in at the Golden Reel Awards and BAFTA. And A Star Is Born maybe could have also happened. But yeah. Although Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse should have been a sound contender. I don't know why it wasn't. It's dumb that it wasn't. But, yeah. I don't understand why they didn't do that. Sound mixing. It was mostly similar, except they swapped out A Quiet Place in favor of A Star Is Born. Actually, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, Roma didn't get into either BAFTA or the Cinema Audio Society. Because this is, like, okay, yeah, this is 4 out of 5 with the Cinema Audio Society, and they went with A Quiet Place, which I guess that makes sense. But yeah, sound mixing, Bohemian Rhapsody makes sense. First Man would have also been a great winner as well. like, the reason why I'm putting in Isle of Dogs in there for sound mixing, for an animated film is because, again, I wanted to put, because I just want to highlight how much Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse should have been nominated for these sound awards. Like, it was incredible work. Mission Impossible Fallout obviously was nominated for at the BAFTAs, but that's because they have one sound category. God, they really need to reverse that stupid decision of, oh, let's like combine sound editing and sound mixing. It's like, no, they're two completely different categories. Like, no. Yeah. Original score. What were the Oscars thinking? They snubbed First Man? First Man! It won the Golden Globe. It won Critics' Choice. Yet they snub it for the Oscar. And the BAFTAs snubbed it? What? Why? Why? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? First Man was so deserving of the win. Now, granted, like Black Panther winning, that's like a great number 2. Like if it had to, like if First Man's not here, I'm glad Black Panther won. But really? Really? You didn't even nominate First Man? That was insane to me. If Beale Street could talk, maybe that could have happened. Mary Poppins Returns. Ooh, having now watched that movie, yeah, it deserved the nomination. It definitely deserved the nomination. Like, my God, it had such a great score. I'm not gonna lie, if Beale Street could talk, that score didn't really... I don't really remember that score a whole lot. But yeah, like I said, among these nominees, my personal pick would have been Black Panther, but again, First Man should have been nominated. And Isle of Dogs had a great, Isle of Dogs had a great score as well. And honestly, BlacKkKlansman also had a great score. I think BlacKkKlansman also had a great score. Which one would I bump out? Well, okay, I would definitely bump out If Beale Street Could Talk in favor of First Man. But I'm not gonna lie, I would have also nominated Annihilation for something. Now, what would I take out in favor of Annihilation? Because I already took out Beale Street. Maybe I would take out Isle of Dogs in favor of Annihilation. I when I saw that it made the shortlist, I was so happy, even though I knew it was never going to happen in terms of a nomination. But man, because Annihilation's score is so good and so eerie and creepy. But even in terms of horror movies, it wasn't the most likely one to be nominated because that was clearly going to be A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place got the Golden Globe nomination. Buster Scruggs, again, I have it this high up because, again, the Oscars really loved Buster Scruggs. And it makes me wonder if it was actually even close to getting nominated for Best Picture. That kind of makes me wonder. Vice, because it's in Best Picture. One thing I think we need to look going forward is that if you see Best Picture nominees in the score shortlist, pay attention to the Best Picture nominees because the Oscars are going to take priority of those. And also, I should mention, this was the first year where they actually did have shortlists for score and song. This is the first time we had those things. Green Book was nominated at Critics' Choice, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it was ineligible at the Oscars. A Star is Born won Best Music at the BAFTAs, but, it wasn't a score. It was, the songs. It's kind of strange. And again, Spider-Verse should have been in there, but again, I think... I want to say it was because it kind of released too late to be nominated for anything else other than animated feature, but I don't know. They did Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse really dirty this year, so I don't know. Original song. You have a great winner in Shallow from A Star Is Born. I think if it were, I think maybe The Place Where the Lost Things Go would have been maybe number 2, or All the Stars from Black Panther. Maybe that could have happened. I'll Fight from RBG. I already forgot that. I listened to that song on the way home from work, because I was trying to listen to all these nominees. I already forgot RBG. But also, when a cowboy trades his spurs for wings, not gonna lie, in this lineup, my personal pick would be between When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings and The Place Where the Lost Things Go. Not gonna lie, when I watched Mary Poppins Returns today, I kind of cried during the song "The Place Where the Lost Things Go." Like, it's weird. The last two times I've listened to that song, it's like it just made me cry. Like, that song is just so beautiful, so wonderful. Maybe it would have been my pick among these nominees, except they didn't even nominate Triple Little Light Fantastic, which is dumb. And they didn't even shortlist A Cover Is Not the Book. Like, what are they? What? Like, why? Like, that song is so good. Okay, I can't really sing it because, copyright, but my God, like, A Cover Is Not the Book. Why did that not get, like, that was such a good song. Like, why did they do that? Girl from the Movies maybe had a shot because, it definitely had a shot because it was Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. Oopsies, I forgot to take out A Quiet Place. That shouldn't have happened. We Won't Move from the Hate You Give. I think maybe that could have happened. Hold on a second. Let me just take out, let me just take out A Quiet Place because oopsies. I made a oopsies. But yeah, Revelation from Boy Erased. Oh my God, Suspirium from Suspiria. That also should have been nominated. Like, that song is so good. Like, my God. Like, it's such an eerie song. It's just like, ugh. But they're probably never going to want to go for that, something like that. Treasure, looking down, But again, like I said, oh yeah, also Requiem for a Private War wasn't shortlisted despite getting in at the Golden Globes, which is strange. But again, if I had to nominate this, I would nominate, in no particular order, When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings, The Place Where the Lost Things Go, A Cover Is Not the Book, Triple Little Light Fantastic, and Suspirium. Wait, did I forget Shallow? Oh, yeah, I did forget Shallow. I guess it's just tough. This was a great year for songs, even though, yeah. Also, I didn't really care for All the Stars when I first saw the film, it didn't really stick with me. But nowadays, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, actually, All the Stars is actually a pretty damn good song. Animated feature. Weirdly enough, this lineup was pretty easy to figure out because, well, for one, even Mirai was looking pretty likely considering it looks like I think it got the Critics' Choice, which is kind of wow. But oh my God, the story of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Wow. Because leading up to December, we just assumed Incredibles 2 was winning Best Animated Feature. Because look, I think it's a great movie. I think Incredibles 2 is a pretty great movie. Was the villain as good as the one in the first one? No, but I still thought Incredibles 2 was still a really funny, really, incredibly looking film. And my God, the animation is phenomenal. And I do love the family dynamic, and I thought it felt like a worthy sequel to the first film. So we just assumed Incredibles 2 was winning. And also, it was one of the most anticipated films of the year because out of all the Pixar sequels, despite them doing a Monsters, Inc. prequel, despite them doing, 2 Cars sequels, we finally get an Incredibles sequel. And I thought it was great. And then Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out and blew everyone away in the most insane way possible. Cause everyone, it was so strange. No one had ever, no one could have possibly foreseen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, just breaking into the race like that. And also, keep in mind, this was literally the year after Sony's previous animated film came out, the Emoji Movie, which is maybe one of the biggest laughingstocks in terms of films of the past decade. And everyone's like, oh man, Sony Animation, what a joke company, right? Yeah, and then the next year, not only did Sony Animation win Best Animated Feature, they demolished the race. It had a better race that year than this year with Across the Spider-Verse. It won everything. The Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, PGA, Annie, even the freaking BAFTAs went for Into the Spider-Verse. like Disney at that point just became a joke because it's like, really? Like Disney's gonna win? Like Disney? Like you can't, like, nah, this is Spider-Man's time. And again, it should have gotten more nominations than just animated feature. But my God, one of the best, like the best animated film of 2018 and one of the best like films of that year as well. And again, I feel like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had more like cinematic influence and is more remembered than any film nominated for Best Picture that year. It literally, again, the way it like changed the game in terms of animation in general, like this kind of like lower budget yet still stylistic kind of animation where it blends CGI and hand-drawn animation. Like now every animated movie's trying, like now most animated movies are trying to do that nowadays, like trying to capture that style. Because again, it saves on money, but it still looks really amazing. What an incredible win. Incredibles 2, you were the front runner, not anymore. Isle of Dogs, just an honor to be nominated. Ralph Breaks the Internet, just an honor to be nominated. Mirai, honor to be nominated. Honestly, there wasn't really much competition, because like, what, was The Grinch going to get nominated? No. I mean, yeah, PGA nominated, but also PGA is basic when it comes to their animated movie tastes. Early Man maybe could have done it because it did get the Annie nomination, but the fact that it didn't get BAFTA was kind of a, that was kind of a red flag. And nothing else after that. Like after The Grinch, nothing else comes close. So yeah. Foreign language film. Roma won this in a handbasket. It was not even funny. What? Like the movie nominated for Best Picture suddenly loses Best Foreign Language Film? Absolutely not. That's no. It was going to win. It did win. There we go. But again, since Cold War did get that director nomination, and I still think it was number 10 to be nominated for Best Picture, I think that was easily number 2. And with Never Look Away's cinematography nomination, I think it was probably number 3. Shoplifters, and then Capernaum. Easy predictions. Although Burning didn't get Golden Globe, didn't get the BAFTA, even though a lot of people would say that was like maybe one of the best one of the best international films of that year. Girl from Belgium got the Golden Globe nomination, but didn't get shortlisted. And then Dogman got the BAFTA nomination, but didn't get shortlisted either. So, yeah. And then this is the last category I'm going to be talking about before we get into the questions. Documentary feature. Not gonna lie, I ran out of time and I couldn't figure out the stats I couldn't find the stats for this in time. But what in the world was why? Like, Won't You Be My Neighbor? Like, why would you snub this? Like, this is one of those cases where like the documentary branch always like snubs the front runner, and it's like, why would you do this? Like, Won't You Be My Neighbor was, again, it was way better than most of the movies nominated for Best Picture, and they didn't even nominate it? What were they thinking? Like, I could have at least accepted, Free Solo beating it for the win. Sure, I would accept that. But to not even nominate Won't You Be My Neighbor, what were you thinking, people? Come on! Like, that was just the film we needed in such a dark time in history. Insanity. It's insanity to me. And I forgot to, and there was also, Three Identical Strangers, which also got snubbed. I haven't seen that film, but still, it's like, why? Like, Won't You Be My Neighbor not in? That's just ridiculous to me. Thank you so much for watching, and consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you don't, Bohemian Rhapsody will win film editing again.